From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, scrimmage observations. We've never been able to say that in the history of Wake Up Warchant. Corey Clark breaks everything down, offense, defense. Panic button? Hitting it? Are you going to hit it? Baseball with a really bad weekend. We talk about where we go from here. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. Sip the juice. Award-winning, clinically proven energy with benefits. How about the Focus Plus, everybody? Extra strength. Extra strength? What's that all about, Aslan? A little green tea extract in there. 260 milligrams, all natural caffeine, vitamins, nutrients. Get you laser focus as we are now headlong into the month of April. I can't believe we've come so far into the year 2025, everybody. Do it with Vitamin Energy. Make it all better. Warchant.com makes being a Florida State fan better. Yeah, I can say that. Come home. Join us. Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. All the things you need to know about recruiting. All the photos you need to see of every single recruit that's like visiting campus pretty much. Matt Lasser, Michael Langston have you covered. Think we're going to be doing a recruiting chat on Wednesday. So join us for that on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Also, the members-only variety is out there. Enjoy that one. I always enjoy hanging out with Corey Clark. Saw you on Sunday. That was a delight and a treat. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Wasn't a great circumstances we saw each other having to watch that debacle at Dick Hauser Stadium.
Oh boy.
On Sunday, but yeah, otherwise doing well, man. Doing well. Shout out to Brady Clark. He hit another bomb.
What?
Yeah, he's his second in a couple of weeks, so that's good. So hopefully he can keep that going. He's good when he swings. So he takes a few too many pitches for his dad's liking. But yeah, he hit another home run. And tell me about this. So one of his best friends is the kid he hit it off of. They go to different schools. But the best friend's mom was recording the game, and she sent me the video. So I don't ever get to watch. So that's
Hell
cool.
yeah.
I don't think I've got video of any of Brady's other home runs. But she said that I don't know if Dylan was more upset for himself or happy for Brady.
Aw.
And I'm like, man, what a kid she's raised.
Yeah.
Because I know if Dylan had struck Brady out, Brady would not be happy for Dylan. And I'm saying that as like a negative towards my son. There's no way he thinks like that. And I told her that. She's like, no, he's very sweet. He saw me and got out of his chair and gave me a big hug, asked me if I needed anything. She's like, we're all in the same boat. Our kids are always the worst to us and are very polite to other people. But yeah, that was a cool kid, Dylan. To be excited for his buddy, even though he gave up a home run.
He didn't groove one to our boy, did he?
Oh, no. It was no, he did not. It was not intentionally. It was not like who was that? Cal Ripken in the All-Star game? No, it was not that at all. Dylan's trying to impress his coaches too. He left a breaking ball up. Brady jumped on it. So good for old B-Dog.
That's the first rule, man. When you're facing Brady Clark, don't hang him up there.
No, you hang him, he'll bang him if he decides to swing.
All right, let's get down to it. Everybody's here for scrimmage number 2, observations. Ira Schofel, managing editor of Warchant.com, and Corey Clark, the two representatives from Warchant.com on hand. Although, shout out to our guy Jeff Cameron, fighting clawing to represent the 93.3 brand and be able to watch it too. So Jeff's going to have you guys covered when the JCS hits the airwaves. So, Corey, I don't really want to get into what the coach has said. We'll get into that maybe later on. But just initially, you and I went into Saturday hoping to see a couple things, and it doesn't sound like neither of them came to fruition. That was them moving fast. And maybe the physicality did come to fruition a little bit. We heard Norvell talk about that. So I guess, first off, those two things, you want to see an offense move very fast. I want to see a very productive offense, but it sounds like the defense won. And we want to see a physical defense. Did either of those kind of illuminate or come out and play at any point?
Yeah, so I think you could tell by the questions I was asking, some of the things that caught my eye. Because, look, man, they were down 4 receivers. I don't know if Jaylen Brown's going to be anything this year. He wasn't last year. But I know Deuce Robinson, Squirrel White are going to be, and I think LaWayne McCoy could be. and none of them played. And Hakeem Williams was out there and played, but I don't know. I can't remember how much. I think he had one ball thrown to him. So it was basically.
Did he catch it?
No, it was out of bounds.
Okay.
It was a tough throw. It was out. He got hit pretty hard, but it was out of bounds. It was Cam Fryer, Elijah Moore, Javon Boggs, and Willie Suarez were like the main quartet at receiver. Plus, they were missing a handful. I don't know how many. Maybe all of them. I don't know. Starting offensive linemen. And they said as much afterwards, so I'm not giving away any state secrets here. So it's hard to I with that in mind, what would you expect to see from the passing game? Very little.
Not a lot, yeah.
Plus, you don't have Jameis Winston throwing to a walk-on, beating LaMarcus Joyner for a touchdown. Tommy is not Jameis Winston. So knowing that, it's like, it was kind of a bummer because we didn't get to see Florida State anywhere close to what it's going to be. Number one, you're 2 weeks into a spring when you're implementing a new offense, so it's not going to be close to midseason form anyway. But then most of your best skill players aren't there. They're there. They just weren't playing. So the one takeaway for me, other than I think, there's a few. Javon Boggs, I think, can play, man. He might play this year. There's some natural ability to him that he carries himself, makes like toe tap kind of catches, gets open deep, gets open short. Like he looks like he could be a guy that plays this year. But the fact that I don't think this running back room, certainly the way it's constructed in the spring, is anything special. There's nothing there that's like NFL bound, like 10-year NFL careers, in my opinion. Hope they all prove me wrong. Not a great NFL, not a great running back room, and your offensive line was not intact. And according to my stats, you ran for 229 yards on 45 carries. So again, that's like
5 yards a carry.
Yeah, 5.5, I think, or 5.2, something like that. But it's like so, and it was boring. I need to stress that it was boring to watch because I think their longest run was a Jalen Lucas 10-yard run. He also had an 8-yard run. So he had two. Those were the two longest runs of the day by running backs. There were a lot of Cam Davis for 4, Keziah Holmes for 6, Keziah Holmes for 3, Cam Davis for 3, Sam Singleton for 5. The whole day, which is boring. It's a lot, but what it is, it's falling forward. And so 2nd and 9 becomes 2nd and 6, and that's when they can go quick. Those plays are like to set up going quick, big shot plays. They couldn't hit big shots because none of their receivers were there. But that's what had me encouraged about that day is just seeing that offense in person and what it's going to look, imagining what it can look like with your starting receivers and your starting offensive line, maybe a better running back getting the most of the carries, or at least a portion of the carries. That's what has me excited because it was absolutely boring, methodical. Oh, yeah, I looked up 229 yards rushing on 45, 43 carries. Plus, when you added up all the passing, it was like over 180 yards passing, and it was not great, but it was like 180 yards passing. So on a day that I thought the defense kind of dominated, or at least controlled, you had over 400 yards of offense. Huh. It's like, oh, that's Gus. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that's the baseline now. Like last year, if the offense didn't play well, if it had a boring, methodical, couldn't accomplish much, it would have had 90 yards the whole game. This one had 400 and ran for over 200. That's what gets me excited potentially about what this offense could be is just seeing that live, and maybe they're going to build off that. This is like the baseline. That's as boring and as vanilla and as non-big play as this thing can possibly be. And it still ran for over 200 yards.
Sounds like they were November 2023 Florida State, but maybe just a little less gifted, right? Because at that point, everybody was hurt, right? Like Johnny dealt with his concussions. Keon was in green for the 5th consecutive week, it seemed like. Pretty much going to that Pitt game, right? I mean, you were really banged up, although you still had your offensive line intact, so
right.
You didn't have the full complement of weapons, as you were saying, but you're still productive, although not very flashy.
Yeah, I think the difference is, that if you look at that Pitt game where they had the receivers out, Jordan Travis still threw for 360 yards because Jordan Travis is awesome. And what we lamented then and looking back on was a really big problem moving forward is they couldn't run the ball. When they needed the running game to step up because their two NFL dudes were not playing. I think Jaheim Bell might have even been hurt. Destin Hill was out there limping to a 40-yard catches. They had no guys out wide, but you did have Trey Benson. And you had Toa Feely, and you thought, okay, this is a good day to establish the run against a not very good team, and they couldn't do it. This team will be able to do it, in my opinion. I've thought that, and that's not just because I sat there and watched them for an hour and a half this Saturday. It's because I've watched Gus Malzahn offenses for 15 years on top of what I saw Saturday. That's what gives me hope is that you don't have to be great in the passing game because, quite frankly, you're not built for it. You don't have an NFL quarterback probably that's going to be starting for you. You're not going to look like a Lincoln Riley offense operating at peak efficiency where they're throwing for 400 yards a game. It ain't happening. But you can still move the ball. And that's what has me excited about what I saw. Again, I just keep coming back to that, is boring, methodical, ho-hum, yawn, 230-yard rushing days. That's and I asked Gus, I asked Norvell about it afterwards. They both, Norvell's like, yeah, exactly. He actually told me it was a good question, Aslan. Norvell did. Told me it was a good observation. Yeah. So I'm not just Luke's favorite anymore. Luke Laux. I got other now. Link, I don't know. Link, especially this weekend. Link's got bigger concerns. But Norvell, said it was a good observation because I asked him about the 4 and 5 yard runs, like the medium runs. No big runs, but no -8s either. There wasn't a lot of 2nd and 11. It was a lot of 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, and they picked up almost all of their 3rd and 2s. And if they didn't, they picked it up on 4th and 1. That's what he's here for. That's what Malzahn's here for. That's what Herb Hand's here for. And that was good to see on Saturday.
Well, square this up for me then, Corey. If they popped off over 400 yards of offense, why do you think the takeaway from the head coach was that the defense won the day more or less?
I think it was 400 yards on the 80 plays, 85 plays. So that's not great. They had the two interceptions, one that was returned for the touchdown. We can talk about that in a second. And they didn't give up any big plays. They gave up a touchdown in overtime on a little. Well, I won't go into it, but it wasn't a let's just say a
conventional
conventional play. Okay. And then they gave up like a 45-yard touchdown drive to Castellanos. Other than that, they were able to get off the field. They were able to force field goals. Again, when I judge what I saw from the offense, there's two things. Number one, Sperry. We got to talk about him. I was floored by that kid's ability to run. That was crazy. But then also, and I don't want to sell it like he's Barry Sanders, but holy cow, that was just different. But then also, Castellanos had, I think, 4 real drives. One was a touchdown. One was the pick six. Maybe 5. One was an interception on, I think it was 3rd and long, where he actually rolls out left. He has Javon Boggs open deep, like 10 yards open. But Javon Boggs is also 60 yards downfield when Castellanos throws the ball, or 50 yards. So it comes up short, as you can imagine. He still threw it rolling to his left 60 yards in the air, but he threw it pretty high. He gave Christian White a chance to race back under it and catch it. He just saw it late. He saw it late, was rolling to his left to avoid some pressure. And Boggs didn't do a great job of coming back to the ball. He allowed that pass to be intercepted. But the decision was fine. But Castellanos had a touchdown drive, had the pick six, another interception, had another drive that ended in a field goal. Got to talk about that kid too. But I think that drive, if it's a real game, would have been a touchdown drive too, because he got whistled dead on a play that there's no fathomable way that when Norvell blew that whistle that tackle was going to be made. Castellanos was not going to be tackled in the open field, one-on-one like that. He would have gotten the first down and much more. Instead, they had to settle for a field goal. So that's the lens I was looking at Castellanos through, and the offense through, is like, okay, with this guy at quarterback and adding the ability to run, which was not on display at all on Saturday, it could be a decent little offense, man, especially when he can throw it out wide a little bit. But, there were also plenty of sacks, plenty of tackles for loss. I haven't talked about those yet, but those are like, especially with Sperry, who was working a lot with backups to the backups, on the offensive line. Like, I don't know how you judge his ability to get rid of the ball or to find the open man. There's probably not anybody open, and he doesn't have a lot of time to throw, and it was kind of a jailbreak there at the end. But overall, yeah, I thought the defense won the day, but I didn't go in really caring about the defense.
Right.
I went in caring to see what the offense was going to be. Unfortunately, you couldn't really tell because of all the guys that were out. But it's like what the DNA of this offense is now. You know what it's established to do, what its baseline is. It is, Malzahn said afterwards, they are a downhill running team. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to be. And I was happy to see the birth of that in its infancy stages, even without some great skill players. Yeah, honestly, I think your two most gifted runners on Saturday were your two quarterbacks. Without a lot of gifted players on the offense at the skill positions, you still manage to put up those kind of numbers.
And then obviously not having, it sounds like a bunch of the thin
yeah,
is what Gus referred to the offensive line. But let's keep it at quarterbacks, and let's talk about Tommy, obviously. I guess, we're thinking 2023 Thomas Castellanos. Give us that. We'll be Tommy Castellanos. We'll be all good with that. I mean, I don't even know if last year, is anybody really going to complain with what this offense looked like last year? Just so, I guess we see 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
You talk about 5 drives. Ultimately, how do you think he processed it in terms, again, he did not have his full complement of receivers. He did not have his natural, what we think projected starting 5 offensive linemen. So that's obviously going to factor into some of your timing. But did it feel like he had maybe a decent grasp of what he was asked to do and tasked to do?
Yeah, it's hard to judge, though. I'm not giving him an out or anything. It's not like he was sensational, but I feel like most of his passes were like catch the snap and throw it. It was not a lot of scanning the field, going from read to read to read. It was a lot of short passes to wide receivers or running backs, quick passes, a lot of quick passes, a lot of short passes, and quite frankly, guys weren't open off the jump. He did have a couple balls tipped. He had the one ball tipped by Amari Williams that turned in the interception by KJ Sampson. But that's why I wasn't really worried about it. Like we know he can play at this level. I mean, he threw 5 picks last year. What I worry about, what you wonder about is he going to force things? And it wasn't like he was confused and bewildered. Again, the one throw was a screen pass where it just got tipped. That was one interception. The other one was like one of the few times where he did extend a play and scram it out to the left and look downfield. He saw the guy wide open. He saw it. He just didn't get it to him. But he did see it, probably late, but he did see it because I don't know exactly when Boggs broke open, when it was obvious he was going to be open. So it wasn't like just a lot of here goes nothing thrown in the middle of the field. And that's going to be his role, man. When he's going to be throwing it up for grabs, I'm assuming it's going to be 6'6" Deuce Robinson he's throwing it up to, which you'll take your chances with that. I don't foresee him just taking a lot of chances in the middle of the field. I also don't think they're going to ask him to do what Norvell, frankly, asked his quarterbacks to do way too much last year. 3rd and 11, scan the field, go to your third read, and see if you can throw a 14-yard pass for a first down. Oh, no, you've been sacked. Like that was the whole season. Malzahn's not going to have Tommy doing that. So he was fine. He was fine. Again, I think it's a different lens to judge this kid through because, again, I'm telling you, there was a blitz. It was, I don't remember who it was. Maybe Shaheem, maybe a linebacker. I don't know. Somebody came on a blitz. He ducked inside.
I thought Shaheem was limited.
No, Shaheem was out there. Shaheem played. So he came in. I think it was Shaheem. Came in on a blitz. Castellanos sees it, ducks it to the left. I think Shaheem gets a hand on him, but just a hand. And you know how Norvell is. You've watched enough practices. Right. That's when the whistle blows. Mm-hmm. So this is what I love. This is I talked about this on the wrap, but this is something I really liked about Castellanos on Saturday. So he ducks inside. He avoids that sack. There is no way Shaheem's making that sack, or anyone. That's not a shot on Shaheem. When Castellanos sees you coming from 6 yards, good luck. And it's just you and him. It's going to be tough to get him on the ground. So he makes a move and dodges it, and then the whole right side of the field is wide open. It's like it's 1st and 10. It's wide open. I'm telling you, Aslan, everybody's back was turned. Most people are to the other side of the field. It's probably, in my opinion, going to be a 50-yard touchdown run. It's at least going to be like a 38-yard run deep inside the red zone before anybody gets hold of him. Maybe he gets run out of bounds. But it was going to be an enormous play, and instead it's whistled dead. And Castellanos' reaction to that was like, wait, what? he kind of threw his arms up, kind of argued with Norvell a little bit, not in a rude way, just like, wait, you blew the whistle on that? And then, so anyway, cut to 9 plays later, they're at the 2-yard line on that same drive. They're on the 2-yard line. They've worked their ways down with a bunch of 5-yard plays down to the 2. He sprints out to the right. I don't know if it was an end or a linebacker that he beat to the pylon, but there aren't many defensive ends or linebackers in the country that would beat Castellanos to the pylon. He's very, very fast. He gets to the edge, turns the corner, gets into the end zone, and slams the ball on the ground and holds it there as if, yep, this is where I should have been 10 plays ago. He was still, I think, kind of angry about it. I like that. I like the competitiveness, oh, you took a touchdown away from me that I know would have been a touchdown. I'm going to go get one anyway, and then I'm going to make the defense look at it. Now, he didn't get to celebrate a lot of touchdowns on Saturday, but I like that moment. And then him and Norvell were having a conversation after the fact when Sperry was running the offense. And you could tell Norvell, I think, was explaining to him why the whistle was blown, what he should have done with the ball instead of blah, blah. But the point being, I think Norvell and Malzahn especially, but Norvell will come around to maybe don't blow the whistle so quickly. This is what the offense is going to be. He needs to have 5 or 6 scrambles a game that are drive-changing and potentially game-changing plays. That is going to be such a huge part of this offense. This is your best running back. I'm telling you, folks, the best running back on this roster right now, in my opinion, the most gifted runner is the quarterback. So you didn't even get to see that on Saturday. I think I gave him credit for 9 yards rushing. That's it. That guy is as fast as anybody else on the team at the running back position, except for probably Singleton. And then he's also shiftier than all of them. I think he's better at avoiding tackles. He's just a natural runner. And then the Sperry kid, Aslan, same guy.
Yeah. All right, hold on.
So anyway.
By the way, Tommy averaged 16.5 carries in 2013 or 2023. I'm sorry.
And what did he ended up with? What did he average per rush?
5.2.
Yeah, because I wonder if you took away the sack yardage.
They have him as 215 carries, 1,113 yards on ESPN. So that's what I'm going off of.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was third in the ACC in rushing in
that year.
In 2023, and third in the ACC in rushing touchdowns. He ran for more of the yards than Trey Benson in 2023. I'm telling you, man, this guy is a running back. This sounds like a pejorative or a negative. I'm not saying that. He is a quarterback. He wants to play quarterback. He is a leader. He carries himself like a quarterback. He can throw the ball. He made some decent throws. Again, he doesn't have the receivers to throw to. He is a gifted runner. And it has to be a part of the offense. The fact that Boston College didn't utilize it last year was beyond bizarre. But Malzahn is absolutely going to utilize it.
Averaged 11 carries last year, so 5 less. So it wasn't like he was totally being left in the garage. But yes,
no, I think that was probably sacks, though, right? I wonder how many times he was sacked.
Yeah.
Because those count. Most of you guys know this, but when you get sacked, it counts as a quarterback rushing attempt in college for some reason. So, which is dumb.
What's not dumb is hanging out at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, especially for your lunch break. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99 still. Inflation what? Bill's got your back, everybody. Also comes with a side dish of your choice, that entree that rotates on a daily basis throughout the week. Don't forget as well, Tuesday night, trivia, 7 p.m. Bingo night, Thursday, 7 p.m. as well. 4 rounds, $250 cash money up for grabs. Don't think there's any live music going on this weekend, but we'll figure it out when we get there. Don't forget, national championship game. We are all Cougars tonight. Go catch that game over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Will you be watching the national championship game at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Corey Clark?
I assume so. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, of course. I mean, odds are, Aslan. Odds are I'll be up there.
All right. You should be up there as well, everybody. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant. We are presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. I forgot to mention this at the top of the show, Corey. Shout out to our guy, JR Knoll 86. There's our guy, John, that we met while you guys were doing the aforementioned rap. You and Irish Show fell. So.
And I saw them at Corner Pocket later.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what I do, Bill. I hope you're listening, Bill. That's what I do. I get people in. So I saw them. They were very nice. I didn't know they were there until they were leaving, which was a bummer. I would have said hello earlier to them, but they were very nice. And then I also met Brad. I'm so bad at. I'm horrible with this. His name was Brad. I think her name was Melanie. They're married and they're from Central Florida. So you guys know who you are.
Exactly.
But I met them and hung out with them Saturday night too, and they were very. She went to Indiana, which is interesting. Okay. You don't meet a lot of people that went to. Oh, and she grew up in South Bend. Brad, sorry, I'm talking about your wife and not you. But it was memorable that she grew up in South Bend because you don't meet a lot of people that's where they went to high school and elementary school and all that. So thought that was interesting. And then she did not go to Notre Dame. She went to Indiana.
Usually,
they were very good people, big Noles, good times.
Usually we try to mention the shout-outs at the top of the show, but I think since we're talking football, people usually will be listening deep into this show. Let's get to it then. I mean, Kevin Sperry, we've heard a lot of good things throughout the course of the 2 weeks of spring football. Gus Malzahn said good things after the scrimmage last Saturday and then had even more praise to kind of pile on top of the kid. Again, qualifying this core with, I think you've said a few times, you're not expecting him to play football in meaningful games this season, but starting to maybe see you saw some things on Saturday where the dots are connecting as to why he's been receiving all this praise from Malzahn. Shoot, even Elijah Herring said good things about him, and obviously Mike Norvell said things about him as well.
Yeah, real quick, though. So I did find it. So he was sacked 16 times, Castellanos, in 2023 for a lot. He lost 176 yards. So those aren't all sacks. He didn't get sacked. He didn't average 11 yards every time he got sacked. But he was sacked 16 times. So he really ran somewhere in the neighborhood, Aslan, of 199 rushing attempts for right at probably, I'm guessing, 1,200 yards. 199 for 1,200. So that's crazy. That's like Warwick Dunn type stuff. Anyway, he's not Warwick Dunn as a runner, but he's, I think, the best guy Florida State has on the roster right now. But in moving on to what you just asked me about, there's a chance that Sperry is number 2. Look, Brock Glenn is fast. I know Brock Glenn has been timed at like over 20, 21 miles an hour, straight ahead speed. Did it look like it translated in a game, Aslan, to where he's like an absolute weapon with his legs?
I wish the highway patrolmen were hitting me with the same radar gun that they're hitting Brock Glenn with at 21-22.
No, you don't, because they're overestimating.
Oh,
they'd have you going 91 in a 55. Yeah, but no, Brock Glenn's fast. He's straight ahead fast, and he's got some athleticism. He made some plays with his legs last year, but he was not, I would call, a difference maker with his legs, even though I would say if he and Sperry raced straight ahead and Castellanos, Brock Glenn might finish third, but not by a lot. Like, he can move. He's a real athlete. What Sperry has that I didn't realize he had was the wiggle. It's an ability to avoid someone and not break stride, not slow down and start like one cut and move, and they go in one direction, he goes in another, to go along with the real speed. Like I told you afterwards when I saw you, like if it doesn't work out for him at quarterback, he absolutely could be a Division I receiver. Like I had no idea. Like I knew he ran for a lot of yards in high school, but I was like, it's high school. Like they all do. Any pretty good athlete that plays quarterback is going to run for hundreds of yards in high school because you're better athlete than everybody that's trying to tackle you. But the fact that he looked like that against Florida State caliber defensive linemen or defensive players leads me to wonder what it's going to look like in 2 years. Like when he's bigger, faster, stronger, he could be a real dual threat weapon. And I'm probably going on and on about him, and now you guys are expecting Randall Cunningham. He's not that, but I think. And I'm not just saying this because of the color of the skin, Aslan. He could be like a Plumlee that Gus had at UCF a couple years ago.
I want to say Baker Mayfield. I was going to shoot for the moon, but
he's a much better. I shouldn't say that. But no, I'm not gonna hide from that. He's a much better athlete than Baker Mayfield.
Oh.
He might be half the quarterback, maybe 1/10 the quarterback.
Right.
I'm not saying he's better than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield won a Heisman. It is a tough SOB, really good football player, obviously a great football player in college, and is an athlete. This kid's different than Baker Mayfield. I think this kid could be, even if he ends up not being a great quarterback throwing, could be utilized like a Tommy Castellanos or like John Rice Plumlee. Was that his name?
Yes, correct.
At UCF. That kid was a weapon with his legs. And so that was the biggest eye-opening thing for me. I mean, I think I had him running for like 66 yards in the game. Again, a couple of plays that were blown dead were absolutely shouldn't have been blown dead. He put a move on a linebacker in open field where even the defensive players went ooh. Like a ooh that echoed through the IPF. It was one of those. He's a really, really impressive athlete, but what should have people excited is, I mean, look, man, you could put LaWayne McCoy at quarterback and you'd be like, wow, what a great athlete he is. Well, yeah, great. Can he play the position? Can he throw the ball? Can he see guys downfield? Does he read a defense? Can he make the checks at the line? All the things that go into actually being a quarterback besides being able to win a 100-meter dash, I have no idea if he can do that. But I will say this. I thought the most telling thing anybody said on Saturday after the scrimmage was when Gus was talking about Sperry and what he did in the scrimmage, and talking about how he did some things. They blew the whistle dead a few times, but yeah, he's really athletic. He can really run, and he's like and this came on the heels of he was basically saying like, yeah, he was fine today, but he had a practice on Thursday, and even Gus Malzahn was like having to like pause to make sure he got the words said them correctly, but he phrased it ultra impressive.
Yeah.
And again, I say that's, Mike Norvell praises everyone on the team. Gus Malzahn does not.
Correct.
He's been doing this too long to just offer faint praise. This is real praise. And when he's talking about a true freshman quarterback that should still be in high school and saying how ultra impressive he was in practice number 8 of his career, and then we saw what we saw the next day on that Saturday, that makes me think there might be something there, like really there. That has me excited. Like they might have actually hit on one. Again, jury's out. Jury's out. It ain't coming back anytime soon. It won't come back until 2027 or 8 probably. But 2026 maybe. But man, you like what you hear and see, the way they talk about him, not just the athleticism, but the way he plays the position, the way he carries himself. The way he takes the calls from the sideline. He's not overwhelmed. It's not too big. All the things you want to hear and know, it seems like he's got that.
Can't wait for the meltdown over on the Oklahoma boards when Venables is on his way out next year and Kevin Sperry just tossing touchdowns all the place.
Kevin Sperry's got 41 touchdowns.
Way to go.
Rushing for 2,000 yards, throwing for 3,000, first player in history, all that good stuff.
All right, well, we've gone like over 30 minutes into the show really celebrating the offense more or less, but defense was the headline, at least from the head coach, in terms of who kind of was able to string together more success. You mentioned the tipped pass from Amari Williams that KJ Sampson returned. It would have been a pick six had it been like a live action game.
Yeah.
What were your, I guess, big picture takeaways from the defense? You mentioned TFLs. Did we see some stuff from James Williams? Did you see a little glimpse of the chaotic looks that a 3-3-5 can throw at an opposition?
It is a lot, man. It is a lot. Now, I was focusing more on the off. I mean, I'm watching the play, so I'm focusing on both. But I wasn't necessarily paying attention to the numbers of the guys that were making the plays. Just that, man, they come from everywhere. They come from – and what they do, what I noticed they did a couple of times, and I'm not giving away secrets again because every defense does this, but you remember when, like – I shouldn't just single out Adam Fuller, but there were times last year when the person that was blitzing would give away early that he's blitzing, and then back up,
and then still come.
We've changed it. No, don't worry, and then go. This defense, I think it might have been Barker. I can't remember. It might have been I don't remember who. Somebody looked like they were coming on a blitz. Then they're changing the play, or they go and talk to the line. He backs up. Then starts tiptoeing like he's coming again, but the ball snapped, he isn't. Now, I don't know if they changed their defense or Tony White tells him, hey, man, act like you're going to come, really sell it, act like you almost got fooled by the snap count, and then back up and play the real – you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea how they teach it, but that was one play that stood out. I already talked about the one where Shaheem's coming. Now, he missed him, but he got free. It is a bear. For an offense to deal with. It is just a bear. Now, I don't know how good, the negative about Florida State running the ball for over 200 yards, it did come at the expense of the Florida State defense, and it was not with a great running attack. So that's something you rightly could be concerned about, is how are they going to stop the run. But other than that, like passing situations, they were really good. They're in there. They're coming from all angles. To answer about James Williams, I know he had one sack where he just bullied a guy out of the way. He had another tackle for loss where he just speed rushed and got there. I think maybe batted down a pass too, or influenced a pass where it had to be thrown away. Like he was noticeable. I didn't track snap counts, obviously. I don't know how much he was out there, but he flashed. Darrell Jackson made a couple of just flash plays. I doubt he played a ton, just because he's Darrell Jackson. You know what you're getting out of him. But I also want to point this out. They were hitting. They were tackling. Oh, there was tackling, and the reason I point that out is because, as I've mentioned, without a lot of wide receivers, Willie Suarez, your walk-on, was the leading wide receiver on the team in the game. He had five or six catches. It was a lot of short passes. Screens of all varieties, of all makes and models, every which way. This way, that way, middle, it didn't matter to who, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, the whole bag of screen passes. And some of them took advantage of a blitz and hit. Now, they didn't hit for 30 yards, and the reason they didn't, and this is something I brought up, I think I brought up in the wrap, is the way the defense pursued those was really encouraging. Like, there were a couple of times where I don't know who 91 is, but he had a tackle like 11 yards downfield on a screen. That is just that it's that kind of pursuit.
I'm going to get that name for you. People get really mad if we don't know people's names around here. I'm going to get that for you, Corey.
They've all changed their numbers, everyone, and half the roster is new. So I haven't had to, and this was the first time I got to see any of them play. Maybe is it a Desir brother?
91. I want to say I thought it was one of the either Diggs or McCray, but I am scrolling.
McCray is 8.
91's Tylen Coleman, JUCO guy. JUCO
there you
guy.
go. So he comes in and makes a play down the field. The Desir brothers ran everywhere. Like the linebackers went sideline to sideline, and even if they weren't in the play initially, you saw one guy there's a screen that's going wide. One guy gets to the sideline to make him cut it in, and lo and behold, half the defense is there to tackle him.
Nice.
Which was not the case a lot last year, folks, if you guys remember. So, again, I looked more at the big picture stuff with the defense, just the pursuit, the way they hit, the physicality, the playmaking ability. They did have a lot of negative plays. Again, they weren't mostly on Castellanos. They were mostly on Sperry and Brock Glenn, who were working with not the first-team offensive line. I say first-team in quotes. So they were, they struggled at times to block. But overall, just the energy and the pursuit and the physicality they played with was like it had been advertised. They did come with some fury, which was really, really good to see. And they celebrated when they made big hits, and they made more than a few. So that was good to see.
Can I ask you about Blake Nicholson, or do I need to edit this out?
No, you can ask me about him.
I don't know. Just for whatever reason, we haven't heard his name. Was he out there doing things, bouncing around?
Yeah, he was out there doing things. He didn't make any plays that caught my eye necessarily. He didn't make any flash plays. Omar Graham did. Omar Graham made a really nice play on one of those plays out wide. Ran a kid out of bounds.
I'm telling you, listen, I'm the guy that
Pryor made a couple of really nice plays. Then obviously Herring and Thompson. Herring was there for the interception, and Sampson took it out of his hands. But Herring and Thompson were both noticeable as well.
Yeah. I'm the guy that really tries to put a verdict in maybe a little bit too early on a lot of these guys. And I know a lot of people remember the way Omar played against Georgia Tech, and that kind of sullied the way they looked at him the rest of the year. But he was playing pretty good football towards the second half of last season, relatively speaking to how bad the defense was. So I'm glad that he did not leave. He stuck it out and seems to be kind of picking some things up because Stephon Thompson's a nice piece. But, Cryer coming off his injury, Blake Nicholson, we'll see. Can he put enough weight on, hold it, and can he pick things up with the way they want to run this? So I'm glad to hear that he's doing well because I'll look at linebackers a little bit more with judgment this time around, everybody, because everybody got mad at me for not caring about linebacker play. So.
Yeah, and they played with such they're playing in such a different scheme. But, yeah, they were impactful. I thought the linebackers in this scrimmage made more impactful plays in whatever it was, 80, than they did in 300 last year. Again, they were right there for an interception. They had a number of forced incompletions on pressures. They did not. There was a play where this was I think Brock Glenn might have thrown it. It might have been Castellanos. I can't remember. But it was Herring or Thompson. Golly, Clark, get it together. Was running stride for stride with one of the tight ends, and the guy had maybe a step, but not much. And he was running stride for stride with him. It forced an incomplete pass. Cryer had a couple of big noticeable plays. Like they were impactful. And I think that's what this defense will do. It will unleash these linebackers to at least have more of an impact. Now, it's not going to make them Derek Brooks. You can only do so much, but I think their impact will be more in this defense by design and just by, I don't know, coaching acumen. I don't know, just like getting better players like Thompson and Herring are better than what they had last year. It'll be a better position just for those reasons alone. But also, I just think it's contagious, man. Earl Little coming down and thudding a kid during the practice, that's contagious. And they all start trying to do it, not injuring people, but wanting to get oohs and ahs and daps and helmet slaps from their teammates. And that was on display Saturday, I thought. Like, it was a physical practice, man. I do want to point that out, too. Like, they were getting after it, which is exactly what this program needs.
What are your thoughts, if any, on when I asked Tony White about cornerback specifically, and how he said that was a work in progress, that position still?
Which, the cornerback?
Cornerback, CDs.
Yeah. I there's no way to judge, man. It goes back to the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because how could you judge? They didn't take any shots. They didn't throw. They didn't use the wide receivers really at all.
Well, he mentioned
downfield.
He mentioned some nickname that none of us knew, but apparently it was Arno. Shamar Arno.
I thought he said. Did he say Duty?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one. If somebody gives you the nickname Duty, you got to give it back.
Maybe he tore it up in Tour of Duty.
Oh, okay, like honor, duty, country.
Yeah.
One of those. Okay, let's hope. I don't know what his. I thought he said duty. But, yeah, so that was so this was an interesting thing. They started the scrimmage with 3 straight plays from the 10-yard line for each. Or each quarterback got 3 plays from the plus 10. And Castellanos, Jalen Lucas scored on the first play for Castellanos' group. And then Sperry went in there, and maybe it was Brock Glenn. It doesn't matter. I think it was Sperry. Threw 3 straight just jump balls to Jordan Scott. The JUCO wide receiver.
I wanted to ask you about him. Thank you for bringing him up. Yeah, 6'7", 219-pound JUCO receiver, Corey. Yeah.
All 3 incomplete. Now, one, our man Duty was absolutely grabbing him, holding his arm. It should have been pass interference. And the other one, this was actually a really cool play. It looked like Jordan Scott had caught it. He was coming down to the ground with it, and Duty, what's his name? What's his last name?
Arno
ripped the ball. I can't call you Duty, man. I'm sorry.
It's Dudie, by the way.
Okay,
like
still,
dude,
it's how it's
like
pronounced.
It's like the duties of the dudes.
Yeah, it's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
But so he ripped the ball away right at the end. Like, really kept competing. Didn't just give up and say, "Oh, the 6'7" kid outleaped me and caught it." I gave it a good try. No, he ripped it out. And then celebrated. They all celebrated with him. And so basically it was 3 straight of that. Like, it didn't even need the other guys on the field. You needed a center, Sperry, and Jordan Scott, and then just throwing it up. And they went 0 for 3, although one of them should have been a DPI or a holding or something, but wasn't. But that competitiveness from that kid that early against that kind of size probably bodes well. And I thought it was really interesting what was trying to be accomplished there on both sides of the ball. And, Jordan Scott did not come down with the catches, so he probably wasn't instilled with a lot of confidence after that sequence. The cornerback absolutely was. So good for him.
Spectrum between Jason Witten and Travis Kelce. Where's Chase Lofton?
Somewhere in the middle. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. Right. I just don't know if he's first ballot or kind of more of a third, fourth ballot guy. Didn't get a lot. Pittman had the best day of the tight ends. Had the most opportunities too, but he had the best days of the tight ends. Lofton made a really good catch that was because it was in that scrimmage. Only went for 4 yards, where he caught it and got hit immediately by a corner, and it was a pretty vicious kind of hit. Not like mean or intense.
Violent.
It was violent, right in his back. And he held on to it and just hopped right back up. Again, another kid that could be in high school right now, getting hit by Division I players, and he looks it. He looks like he belongs. He looks like he fits perfectly. It'll be really interesting to see where he ends up. I mean, you wouldn't think, not where he ends up as in what position, but like where he ends up this season. Because I think I mean, obviously they really, really like him. But I wonder if he's just physically ready yet to play against like Alabama. But I bet he'll be ready to play against Virginia. Like, I don't know how much he plays against Alabama. I think there's a chance by Virginia he's on the field a good bit.
All right, everybody excited about all these new pieces that we're talking about, Corey, because, last year obviously left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth, but you did lose your All-American candidate place kicker in Ryan Fitzgerald and your punter in Alex Mastromano. We've heard Max Chiamento, the projected starting punter, has unleashed monstrous punts. Yeah. I think we even said as much when we would see him kicking about last year. Jake Weinberg has to fill the big shoes. Who thought we'd be saying that 3 years ago? Of Ryan Fitzgerald. Give us some of your thoughts on how Jake Weinberg looked kicking the oblong object.
Really impressive distance. Really remarkable.
Great
honestly.
Distances. He can kick the ball great distances.
Great distances. I mean, it's crazy. This is an all-time leg.
Jano-esque?
Man, yes.
Oh!
Yes, 100%. 100%. But I made the argument back when he was here, and I think I was right. I thought Dustin Hopkins had a stronger leg than Jano, or at least as equally strong. And I know people are going to come at me as if I didn't watch every kick of Sebastian Janikowski's career. What was different about Janikowski was, if Janikowski was a kicker today in the NFL or in the college, he would be obviously one of the best in the country, but he wouldn't stand out so remarkably because he kicked it 72 yards on a kickoff. They all do that now. Back in 1997, he was one of one. He was kicking it through the goalpost when nobody did that. Now half the kickers in America do that. If you allowed the NFL, look at the NFL, man. If you allowed them, they'd all kick it into the stands. Like just the position, the way they strike the ball. I don't know the mechanics. It's like launch angle or something with bats these days and baseball players. But Janikowski he was great, obviously, but he was also made greater because of the lack of any competition around him. He was so much better and stronger than his leg was so much stronger than everybody around him. It made him stand out like Babe Ruth. When Babe Ruth hit more home runs than any other team. That's what Janikowski was in the 90s. Well, now they're all like that. But so the point being, if you'd have stuck this kid back in 1997, they would have been calling him the American powder keg. I know they called him the Polish powder keg, Janikowski. But he would have had a nickname too. They'd have never seen anything like this. He would have been from the future. So anyway, his leg is to give an idea of it. So he hit a 55-yarder in a game situation. Did hit in the net. Now, we looked at it. I think me and Jeff came to the conclusion it's probably good from 60. In a real game with a rush, 60 yards, right down the pipe. I don't think he got all of it. In fact, I know he didn't get all of it. Because earlier in the practice, without a rush, just practicing kicking, he hit a 55-yarder that almost hit middle of the net that I 100% convinced would have been good from 67 or 68. Man. It's crazy. And we saw this last year, Aslan. This kid has a magic leg. Now, I don't know if he's going to kick it straight enough. So I think he was 5 of 8 on the day. He doinked one off the right post from 43, and then he missed one of his 55-yarders very badly left, but it hit off the building. It hit off the wall, but he missed it left. I don't know what his accuracy is going to be. I don't expect him to be as accurate as Fitzgerald, but he has a leg that if he's healthy and hitting it well, if you're tied 27-27 with 30 seconds to go and you get the ball at your 40, you might be saying to yourself, well, we really kind of only need one first down to have a shot at this. It is a monster leg. It's just like Chiamento at the punter. He kicked them as far as Mastromano in practice, but every now and again he'd kick one that almost hit us. Or he'd kick one that would hit the tower that seemed to go straight sideways. It's the consistency of it. Yeah. Mastromano and Fitzgerald were great because they were good all the time. Fitzgerald made I'm going to guess 28 out of his last 30 kicks. Mastromano always seemed to hit it and hit it well. He didn't have a lot of shanks. That's what the consistency factor is what worries you in that. But their actual leg talent, their leg talent is on par with the guys that just left as far as just pure strength. But punting and kicking are more than just pure strength. It's also accuracy and we have no idea how they'll do in game situations. There is a chance Weinberg's first 51-yard field goal against Alabama, he will kick it straight in the center's ass. I don't want to hear a word from any of y'all. I'm not telling you he's a great kicker. I'm telling you he has a great leg. There is a difference. Xavier Lee wasn't a great quarterback. He had a great arm. That's the comparison right now to make. We'll see how he handles in-game situations. But that leg is thunderous.
Sounds like Cemento and Weinberg.
Cemento?
Cemento.
Oh, okay.
Cemento.
I thought you said Cemento. Okay.
Sounds like they've got big boots.
Right.
They should try out Brunt Workwear. And if they use a promo code WakeUp, they can save $10. Maybe we can get them an NIL deal with Brunt Workwear because they've got such big boots. Not only durable work boots, but work boots that are as comfortable as your sneakers. Try either the Omen or the Marin boot. Those are the two top sellers. Corey and I are rocking the Marins. And it's not just about work boots. Brunt offers a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs, from heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets. You can use that Wake Up promo code to save $10 off of anything. And they believe in their products because they'll let you wear it on the job site. Again, you know, sometimes you can wear shoes around the house. You don't like them. You can mail them back. But God forbid you take your Nikes out on the court and you don't like them. Can't take it back to Foot Locker. No, can't do that.
Yeah, all right.
Brunt, though, lets you take it out on the job site. If you don't like it, contact them. You can mail it back. You'll get your money back. Easy as pie. BruntWorkwear.com. Promo code WakeUp saves you $10. All right, last segment of the day. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Anything else football-wise, Corey, want to talk about before we get to the bat and balls?
No, not off the top of my head. I talked way too much anyway. I always talk a lot on this show, probably way too much, and I apologize for that. But I feel like because I got to see it and you didn't, I felt like I should talk more than I normally do. So I apologize for that, Aslan.
Worked out good because actually, you know, instead of us echo chambering each other, or, you know, being,
you're actually genuinely interested in my answers.
Yeah, and I'm asking you questions that I'm sure a lot of people at home want to know about. But yeah, I mean, I wrote down Sperry, running backs. I wrote down pass rush, Tommy and his picks, Weinberg, offensive line depth, and we went over everything. So I think the only thing we didn't go over was big picture, but really, I mean, it's the second scrimmage. Sounds like you think the offense is going to be better. Defense is physical and seems to be attacking from all angles.
The offense is absolutely going to be better. I can say that without hesitation.
Okay.
And as I've stated and will continue to state, it's because it can't be worse.
Right.
You
knew that beforehand, though.
Yeah,
almost.
I knew it before Saturday.
Yeah.
It was reinforced on Saturday, and I was not left feeling warm and fuzzy that, oh, man, they're built. This is going to be a laser show. This is going to be 2013. I was not filled with that. I had the proper context of no receivers there to play. You didn't get to really see the offense. But, yes, the fact that they can run the ball and will be able to run the ball, 100% convinced they'll be able to run the ball. Much, much, much better than they did last season, and that opens up everything else. So the offense will be better. Will it be good? No idea, but it will be better. No doubt about it.
Where are you going to be on Wednesday, Corey Clark?
I'll be here, I think.
Okay. Florida State softball is going to be in Moraga, California, taking on St. Mary's.
What?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
That's random. Are they playing Stanford later or something? Are they playing Stanford later that week?
You would think so. Let me scroll down.
Or Cal? Maybe they got a road trip to
Cal. Cal. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Get out there a little early.
Yeah. So Florida State softball improves to 36-6 on the year. Bit of a dud on Friday night. They got shut out 2-0, but then rallied and roared back to win on Saturday, and then took care of business on Sunday in a 13-2 rout, which kind of was what the case was for the baseball team. But some of the quick takeaways you might have had as you were going back and forth between the Plex and Hauser on the weekend as Florida State took the series from Virginia in softball.
Yeah, Friday night was just really weird. They gave up a 2-out triple and then a home run on the next pitch, and that was all the scoring for anyone. Nobody shuts down Florida State's offense quite like that, other than that girl at Oregon, that woman at Oregon. But I think that's the one that struck. Oh, by the way, Torres struck out again. I knew I'd jinx her. I think she might have struck out in the Florida game, but I knew I would jinx her. But anyway, so now she's up to 2 on the season.
Tighten up, Lisa.
Yeah, come on now. Miles Bailey does that in an hour.
Hey,
and you do. Hey, kid. I don't know. I'm not sure the kid put the ball in play this weekend, and he's too good a player he's got to make some adjustments. You can't go a whole weekend with either walking or striking out. Put the ball in play, man. But he's the least of their concerns right now. But going back to softball, it's not only that it was a dud Friday night, Aslan. Then they find themselves down 7-1 in the fourth on Saturday. And you're like, what in the world is going on? They beat Florida, the best win of the year, and they come out and look like this? I mean, Virginia's good. They were 27-10, I think. They're a good team, but they're not that good. And then they just chip away because they're Florida State. Awesome that Kennedy Harp hit a go-ahead home run. She had been struggling mightily by her standards, just struggling a little bit by mortal standards. But she hits the 2-run homer with 2 outs I think it was 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Just hits off the top of the fence and bounces over. She really desperately needed that to get going, and the team needed it. So they come all the way back. They take advantage of some Virginia errors, which is what good teams do. You give them extra outs, they make you pay, and Florida State did. One of their best wins of the year, considering how I don't know, man, just like how dead it was on Friday, how the offense looked on Friday. And then they come out and they're down 7-1 on Saturday, and you're like, what is this? And then they come back and win that game, and then I think I know they say momentum is next day's starting pitcher. I think what happened, those final 4 innings on Saturday, propelled them into that run rule game on Sunday where they just blew Virginia's doors off. They scored 7 runs in the first inning. Bueno hit her first home run, which was a grand slam. So good for her. And I just thought overall a great week. Friday was a bummer, especially because it was so crowded. I went out there. Maybe I was the jinx. I went out there for like an hour. I've been to other games before, but I went out there for like an hour, and they couldn't get a hit. I think they got 1 hit while I was there. Lost 2-0, and then came back though and made it a really good week. They won the series against a top 25-ish team, and they also beat the number 1 RPI team in the country on Tuesday. So they've won. I think they've won now 16 of 17. That's really good. Like you just said, they're 36-6, and they're atop the ACC standings. Just all in all, a really good week and a really good finish to the weekend.
The week started off really great for Florida State baseball, taking care of JU 11-10 on Tuesday, and then winning Friday night in walk-off fashion with the Marching Chiefs in right field, and Mike Monaco on the call. It was a really great production, television-wise, in-stadium-wise, as they took out Wake Forest 5-4 on Friday. And then follow that up with just 2 absolute thrashings of epic proportions, getting run ruled on Saturday 12-0 in 7 innings, and then 17-2 in 8 innings on Sunday. Jamie Arnold didn't look his best, but was much better than anything else Florida State threw on the starting bump the rest of the weekend. I'm not hitting the panic button. My hand is not hovering over the panic button, Corey, but I am looking through the manual at the job site to see exactly where the panic button does reside. And they still went 2-2 on the week, but they just look so downright gross those last 2 games. I don't know for you, is it just the absolute lack of a bullpen, or is it the offense that really kind of deserted them, especially on Sunday? They left the bases loaded in the first inning. I think they stranded 2 guys in the second inning. They had a runner on third with 1 out in the third.
Couldn't put the ball in play.
And they couldn't put the ball in play. And it felt like if they would have been able to take off in those early innings, who knows really what does happen. I don't know if Wake Forest, they probably still score a bunch of runs. Probably not 17, though. I'll stop talking. I'll hang up and listen to you. What do you think about the big takeaway from the Wake Forest series?
Yeah, I think when we do this, when we watch the teams that we cover are focused solely, or so much of our intent is just on this one team, you lose a bit of a perspective. And the reason I bring that up is because, Florida State was awful. That's embarrassing. That's as embarrassing a 2-game performance as I would think a Link Jarrett team has ever had in his career. Yeah. I mean, that is embarrassing. Getting outscored 29-2 at home, getting run ruled in your park 2 games in a row is embarrassing. But it's 2 games. And that's baseball, man. You hit these peaks and valleys. Tennessee got run ruled. Tennessee lost both ends of a doubleheader. Now, people are going to hear Texas A&M and think, oh, well, it's a preseason number 1 team in the country. Man, they were 15-15.
Yeah.
They were 14-15 going to that series. Tennessee lost 2 games of a doubleheader to them. So Tennessee fans might be freaking out a little bit, even though they're 28-4, and you might hear that and go, come on, man, what? You're Tennessee, shut up. Well, most of the rest of the country, if they heard Florida State fans panicking, would be saying the same thing. It's like, come on, shut up. You're 26. You're 25-6. Things are not bleak. But it can feel that way. That's baseball, man. The peaks and valleys. The valleys just seem deeper than they really are. Florida just got swept by Vanderbilt. Georgia just got swept.
They're 1-11 in SEC play.
Yeah. Georgia just got swept. Georgia's awesome. They just got swept by Texas. All these baseball teams go through challenges. What's concerning?
Clemson last year. Remember that Clemson weekend?
Yeah, those were all.
The world
that was
was
awful.
over, right? The world was done.
What's concerning though is that, like you touched on, the bullpen is just been abysmal. The last much of the season, but frankly, the last couple of weeks has been. I'll use the word again, embarrassing. So I don't know if you saw my tweet, Aslan, but you'll like these stats. So in the last 5 games that Florida State has played, so going back to the Bellini Game 2 against Notre Dame, you with me?
Yes.
Florida State has played 5 games. Jamie Arnold has pitched 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 0 runs. Because he was pretty good on Friday night. He's actually really good. It was a tight strike zone. He wasn't as efficient as he normally is. But when you saw what that Wake Forest offense was capable of, and that dude limited them to 0 runs, struck out 10 in 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, really good. So he went 5 innings during this stretch, gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, 0 runs. The other 37 innings pitched by Florida State pitchers over the last 5 games. 54 hits, 41 walks, 52 runs. 52 runs in 37 innings, man. That is a ERA of 13, I think. And not only that, it's 95 base runners in 37 innings.
41 walks? That's egregious.
It's insane. More than a walk an inning is, again, I'm going to use the word embarrassing. And that was what was happening at Notre Dame. That includes it doesn't even include the Friday game where they got beat like 16-4 or 16-8 or whatever it was. It doesn't even include that game. I was just going from Sunday of Notre Dame to this past week, this whole weekend, Jamie Arnold and everybody else. Because the JU game, they gave up 10 runs.
Yeah.
They give up 4 runs to Wake in 4 innings without Jamie Arnold on Friday. Then they give up 12-7, 17-8 in 8 innings on Sunday. So the point being, Tennessee can lose a game and be like, yeah, Smith just didn't have it, but he's been really good. We hit a lot of line drives right at people. There was nothing fluky about the way this weekend felt with the pitching staff and, quite frankly, with the offense. Hankerson, yeah, man, you knocked around the Sunday starter for Notre Dame, basically with the wind blowing straight out, and then you hit a rocket off Jacksonville's midweek starter. You just faced some big boys from the ACC, and Wake is a good team now. They struggled a little bit, but they were preseason top 10. You can tell that lineup is the truth, and they bring in a bunch of dudes that throw mid-90s, and Hankerson couldn't handle it. He got overmatched. Bailey got overmatched. Our left fielder, Delamalier was overmatched, especially on Sunday. All of a sudden, you're looking at an offense that, okay, yeah, you feasted on some really bad non-conference teams, and then maybe the 3 worst teams in conference to start the ACC. Now you face a team with equal-ish talent to you. And what did you score? 5? What did they score? 7 runs in the entire weekend?
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah. So, again, got exposed a little bit. Doesn't mean this is who they are. It's a valley. But if they were feeling like they were the best team in the country, they had it all figured out, Wake woke them up real quick. So now it's all about adjustments. And maybe figuring out the lineup, figuring out who needs to bat where. Obviously, Lodis had another Lodis weekend, hit a 2-run homer on Friday, which was a really big hit. I think Max's only hit was the walk-off. He had a rough weekend. He's trying to do too much. He needs to – like that hit he had to win the game, just think if he had that approach.
That was just surviving, right? Like, I just need to get –
just put the ball in play, and he hit it 108 miles an hour. But it's not like he just was fighting something off. He's like, I'm not going to try to do too much. We don't need a 500-foot home run. I don't need to try to pull this ball to the tent. I just need to make solid-ass contact, and he did, and they won the game. And then the rest of the weekend, not that it mattered because the pitching staff couldn't keep them from touching home, it looked like he was just trying to do too much again. And he's just – when he has a controlled swing and thinks about going to left field, left center field, I think he's one of the best hitters in the sport. So anyway, and Lodis is one of the best hitters in the sport. There's still a lot to like. Arnold did look like himself again. I do think that was a blip for Vellini.
Yes, agreed.
But it was a bad blip, man, because that was awful. Like, he did not miss. Even the outs he got were 106. They were line drives to Farreau or Lodis. Like, he looked awful. Like, they crushed him. They treated him like a BP pitcher, and that's not hyperbole. Like, I watched Wake Forest take BP that day because the scrimmage was over. I got to the stadium early, so I was just watching them take BP, and they hit the ball harder against Bellini than they did in BP. So, but it was one start, and he had been awesome. He'd won you the last 2 series with those great outings he had. So you're okay with him. Mendez is a different story because that's now 3 straight really bad outings, frankly. Not as bad as the bullpen that came in behind him, but, you wouldn't have to pitch your bullpen 5 2/3 innings if your starter could get through the 5th. And that happened. Not one starter pitched an out in the 6th inning the whole weekend. And that's when you don't have a good bullpen, which Florida State clearly doesn't seem to. You'd like your starters to work a little deeper, and they just other than Arnold, they got hit really hard on over the weekend. But again, want to stress, it isn't time to panic. It is one bad weekend. You can still turn it around. There can be somebody that finds it that gets. I thought Abraham for a while looked good on Saturday or Sunday.
By comparison, I feel
by comparison, but no, his first 2 innings he looked fine. But they just again, man, the walks are outrageous. Throw strikes, 41 walks. Like each of their first 2 home runs they hit on Sunday came after a walk. Like I don't know. And again, I will say this: that umpire did have a very tight zone. It was ridiculous. It's college baseball. I don't know how many pitches Florida State threw, but I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood of 200. Because he wouldn't call strikes. Like, you can give a little off the plate. But either way, it was a horrible weekend. And this is like a come-to-Jesus week for Florida State, starting with Tuesday against Florida. But then they go on the road to Virginia Tech, who's not a bad team at all. Yeah. And they swept Wake, by the way. So you've got your hands full this week. Let's see how this team, if they're really a championship-caliber team or an Omaha-caliber team, a super-regional-caliber team, this will be a good weekend to prove that. A good week to prove that.
What makes me feel okay about the situation is just that the way that Link talked about everything after Sunday, like he seems to have a firm grasp of what's going on. Like, so he realized, think about like this lineup, how many of these guys are like really proven. I mean, you're at the point right now where like 45% of your lineup is pretty much like freshmen and guys that have not really been in the fire all that much. So, like, they are going to hit the valleys that you're talking about that Florida State's in right now after this bad weekend, Corey. So it's up to those guys, as Link said, like, it's staring them in the face. He's like, however good that we felt, he's like, think about what those guys are feeling like in that locker room right now. It's staring them in the face, just like how poorly they've played. And they're not taking what they're doing in the cages into the actual games. And, like, you're naked in front of all of it now, seeing just how poorly performed. So I do feel good about the fact that like Link has he lets these guys have fun. They chirp and they're when they're winning, they ride real highs. But he also lets them feel and stew in the lows. So I think that'll hopefully help them bounce back as they have to again go to Gainesville this week and then go to Blacksburg to follow it up. What we totally forgot about last year I think we were talking about I don't know if we're talking about off the air or on the air, but I think we were talking about how Carson Dorsey ended up becoming the number 2 pitcher last year almost by accident. And this is Florida State misses a lot from what they had on last year's roster. But, man, Connor Whitaker. Like, Connor Whitaker was the guy that got kind of usurped because he had his injury, but then he ended up toughing it out and coming back. And you always felt good that, like, Whitaker was going to give you probably at minimum 2 and, like, 2/3. But it probably would get you through 3 innings at least if you need to. And they don't have anything remotely close to that right now, which it feels bad, I guess, in the big picture. But when you think about the fact that no matter what happens, I still think they'll be able to hold on to hosting a regional. I still think they'll probably be one of the top 16 teams. I don't think it's going to go that much sideways on them. And then if you get into a super regional aspect, you're still leaning on Jamie Arnold and Joey Vellini. And I feel good about those guys.
Yeah, you got to see how Vellini reacts to getting
shelled like
just
that.
torched like that. But yeah, man, you look at the Their best reliever is Brady Lauk by ERA. He's at 279.
And he's probably going to start. I think he'll probably start Tuesday night in Gainesville.
But yeah, so I don't even know if you'd call him reliever. Every other pitcher, every single reliever they have has an ERA of at least 4.12. They're all in the fours, at least in the fours. Some, there's one that's in the fives, two in the fives, one in the six, one in the tens, 1271, 1462, 1575. Like, those are the ERAs you're looking at for this bullpen. And it's got to be figured out, man. It's just got to be figured out. They've walked more people than their opponents. They've walked 143 guys in 265 innings. Now, they've struck out 345. That's a lot. But 143 walks it's just too many. But again, you're right. They got to find it. If this is what they are, then this season's not going very far. The offense isn't dynamic enough. Even if it's going to improve from what it looked like this weekend, it's not dynamic enough to overcome a historically bad bullpen, which this one could be on pace for if it doesn't turn it around quickly. But why would it turn around? Like, none of these guys are brimming with confidence right now. But you're right. The Dorsey was found. Oxford had a couple of bout adding, but then Oxford and Whitaker were guys you could count on.
Yeah.
They were not overpowering. I don't know if either one of them will make the major leagues. I don't know where they are in the farm systems of their respective teams. But you could count on them to pound the zone for the most part and throw strikes. In Oxford's case, throw a ball that was swung at by the Tennessee slugger, but was called a ball. Like, you could count on them to do that. They were not overwhelmed by the moment. They did not give a lot of free passes typically. They went right after hitters. They have not found those guys yet. But a lot of young guys, a lot of first, like Peyton Prescott was great on Friday night to get the save, or to pitch that ninth inning. He throwing 97 to their best hitters, scoreless inning, and then he comes in on Sunday and gets lit up. Yeah. It's how it's gone. Kinnear just got absolutely blowtorched in his two appearances this weekend. He'd been a decent pitcher for you. He has not been decent lately. Can he find it again? But I guess I would say this: there is clay there. There is clay to mold. Yeah. It's not like you got a bunch of guys throwing 83 with no sharp breaking stuff. Like they although I'd say at this point, find somebody that only throws 78. All these guys, I was just texting Brady about this. Like, everybody that we watch pitch in that stadium, whether it's Jacksonville, Georgetown, North Florida, or Wake, they all throw 92. Yeah. The whole world throws 92 now. So they're all used to hitting 92. Maybe sneak somebody in there that only throws a 76-mile-an-hour fastball. Yeah. They'd be so far out in front they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. Yeah. But yeah, and by the way, just going back to Miles Bailey, the reason I brought him up, I know he was 0 for 8. I think he was 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts this weekend, maybe 5 or 6, but put the ball in play just a couple of times. He might be the key piece to the whole season. That is an impact bat that, when it makes contact, is one of the premier power bats in the country. But it's that first part that has to happen. And he has to give Max Williams protection. Max Williams also has to let himself be protected and not swing at everything all the time. He did a good job on Sunday of getting ahead in every account, but it doesn't matter if he's going to swing at a 3-1 pitch by his letters. Take the walks, man. Get on base. Get traffic. Let Bailey come up with somebody on base. You got Lodis ahead of you, so get traffic on base for Bailey and for whoever's hitting fifth. I think it was Farrow on Sunday. But, yeah, man, there's pieces here. It's not a talentless team. No, you don't want to overdo it. It's the first season series they've lost. It's also the best team they've played in a weekend. And they didn't just lose to that team. They got annihilated on Saturday and Sunday. That's what gives you pause. It was not a couple of 4-2 losses. It was boat races. Yeah. But one bad weekend. You can't let one bad weekend, because the Clemson one was different last year, man. It was embarrassing how they kind of melted down in the late innings of those losses, but they weren't embarrassed. They stood toe-to-toe. They were as good a team as Clemson, right? You didn't walk out of that series thinking, God, Florida State didn't belong on the field with that team. Well, you can imagine people walking out of that stadium on Sunday going, Florida State did not belong on the field with Wake Forest, because that's certainly how it played out the last two games. But anyway, I trust Link. Yep. He's pretty good at what he does. Yep. They're 25-6. They're still a top 10 team. They did not lose to a horrible team. Wake is a good club. No shame in losing a series to them. There is shame getting embarrassed like that, but one weekend. It's baseball. You got 30 games left.
Yeah, first series loss. First series they've lost all season, so they made it all the way to April. So, again, Florida in Gainesville Tuesday, 7 p.m., and then they'll be in Blacksburg taking on Virginia Tech. I don't think basketball. Well, they got the kid from JU, I think, since the last time we talked.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Give me, what's his name? Let me look him up real quick.
Robert McCray?
It seems right, but that was also the fullback from a decade ago, right? Or no, that's a fullback from the Dynasty. There was a fullback named Robert McCray that was really good.
It is Robert McCray. How dare you not believe me?
No, I believe you. I think they had I think that was Robert McCray back in the 90s. He was good, athletic fullback. Played with work done, I think. But yeah, so this is a kid to let you guys know. So we talked a lot about the shooting. This is Robert McCray the fifth, by the way.
Oh.
So we talked a lot about shooting and that they've loaded up, I think, on a shooter. So right now they have 5 players. They have the 3 this is their 4th transfer to go along with St. Bonaventure, tall kid that can shoot, Drexel, guard that can shoot.
Kobe McGee. I can't remember the other. Lejay.
Yeah, and then they got I know A.J. Swinton said he's coming back. I feel like they got another
Chauncey
transfer.
Wiggins from Clemson.
Yeah, that can shoot and is a big kid. Didn't score a lot, but can shoot. And then Robert McCray is the scorer. So he averaged 16.2 at Jacksonville this past year. In the year before, he averaged 18.4 points per game. And he did not shoot as well this past year from 3 or from the floor. I don't know what that was, but I just want to, real quick, going back to his year before, I just want you to know the potential that you have here with this kid. So in their 2 tournament games, in the Atlantic Sun tournament games, in the 2023-2024 season, in the first game, the first round, he scored 31 points.
Woo!
In a 6-point win over Kennesaw.
Woo!
In the quarterfinal game, he scored 24 points in a 2-point win over Eastern Kentucky. And in the semifinal against Stetson, they lost by 1. He scored 36 points.
Whew.
So you were talking about a natural score. Now, is he going to score 36 in an ACC game? I doubt it. But he is a guy that is used to scoring. He scored, I assume, well over 1,000 points in his career. He is a natural scorer. He scored over 20 that season, 15 times it looks like. There aren't many guys like that. Not every team, as you guys clearly know, watching this team the last 5-7 years, there aren't a lot of guys that are just out there scoring 20 points a game. So maybe he takes kind of the Jameer Watkins role. Like Watkins, good scorer, right? Not a great shooter,
right,
but a good scorer. This guy McCray has proven he can shoot. He had games where he went 5 of 8 from 3 one game, 4 of 4 another, 4 of 9, 3 of 7. But that was 4 of 5. Like, he's had games where he's had multiple threes. But last year, he shot 32% from 3, got down from 36. You'd like that to go up. But even if it doesn't, you got a guy that I'm assuming, because of his size, 6'4", tough kid, gets to the line, can get in the paint and score, and is going to be a guy that they all play off of, like a Watkins, except he has guys that he can pass the ball to that can knock down threes, which should open the floor for him. So, okay, I like you've got some pieces here. You got some size, you got some dudes that can stroke it from 3, and you got a dude that's proven he can be an elite scorer when he's right. So, okay, Luke. Now, you need to do what Florida did this past year. Am I right? Maybe this kid's our Clayton. Yeah. Maybe. By the way, unbelievable. That kid's. What are we doing? It's ridiculous. He's like Steph Curry.
How did he get let out of the state in the first place? Apparently, he was a Gator his whole life, and
he wasn't good. I don't think people wanted him. And then all of a sudden, it's like Steph Curry, man, all over again. And that's who he's turned into. So tonight, obviously, you guys know who we're all rooting for, but I've come to the conclusion that this kid is not going to let Florida. Yeah, he's not going to let Florida lose, especially after Texas Tech blew it. You want to talk about Duke's choke job, and it was. Holy cow! You have 14 with like 5 minutes to go. You're up 7 with 90 seconds to go, and you have a bunch of good free throw shooters. You have a kid that's a 91% free throw shooter on your team. You're up 7 with 1:20 to go against a team that doesn't score real well, and you lose the game in regulation is nuts. But you think that was a choke job. What Texas Tech did to Florida was the all-timer. So Florida's taken advantage of that, and now they're a team of destiny, and they're probably going to win their 3rd national championship.
We'll see. Houston's been close. Kelvin Sampson's never been able to win the big one, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it feels
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, and this team, I know they're a 1 seed, but it doesn't feel like they nearly had as much firepower as when they had Jamal Shed last year. So maybe this is one of those teams where it's this is the team that maybe they thought was not Kelvin's best one, but this is the team that ends up giving it to him anyway. So
I've also convinced myself after watching after watching the Duke Florida game, the Duke Houston game, I've convinced myself that I don't know that Duke could have beaten Florida.
Okay.
As great as Cooper Flagg is, and they got some other. Florida was just going to destroy them on the boards, I think. And I just don't think Duke could have hung with them for 40 minutes, even if Cooper had a great game. They just were going to get terrorized underneath. I don't foresee that happening with Houston. So while I think Florida would have beaten Duke too, and I think they're going to beat Houston tonight, I think Houston might be the better foe.
Yeah.
Because they are just a tough bunch
let
of
them play.
adults.
Let them play. Swallow the whistles. Just let them play tonight in San Antonio. That's all I ask.
There was a bunch of tough dudes that are grown men that are physical and are going to make life hard for Florida. And that call on Cooper Flagg was ridiculous. I can't believe it. And Houston got the ball. It wasn't even a foul anyway, but he tipped it back to a Houston kid. If he had tipped it back to a Duke kid, I'd have been like, okay, I got to call that.
Yeah.
But he tipped it. So Houston got the ball anyway. Let's see it play out, because that was all the stuff that happened in that game. For that call to be made just seemed outlandish. And trust me, folks, I'm not crying for Cooper Flagg, and I'm certainly was not rooting for Duke. But I just thought that was a crazy call in that game, and it kind of overshadowed what was a really neat, cool comeback. And it also overshadowed how that kid at the line choked. Could have put him up 3, making the 1-1. Instead, he bricks it so bad that his best player gets called for a foul trying to get the rebound. So live with that, Dookie. I'll say this too, Aslan. If my team makes the NCAA tournament and loses in the Final Four, I'd just assume not make it at all. So the Noles, you come out ahead. There was no stress for the last 3 weeks. You won. You have to worry about NCAA tournament bad calls in the final seconds. Come on.
Man, that was an hour and 20 minutes. If you feel like
oh my gosh, I'm sorry, everyone.
That's fine. If you feel like having somebody yap at you for a few more hours, I highly recommend the Jeff Cameron Show. 1 to 4 o'clock, he and Tom Lang. They'll play the same game, but with a different set of eyes that got to watch the scrimmage on Saturday. So tune into that.
I'm going to guess Jeff tells everyone that the season should be canceled.
Monday Smash as well. That'll be Ira, so you can hear Ira's insights.
Headlines on Tuesday.
Yeah, and then all 3 of them will convene, and then they'll hash it out too. So it's football season over at warchant.com. It always is. Come home, warchant.com. Give us a spin. Try it. You'll like it. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.